program is brought to you by Magic the Gathering, the trading card game of strategy and imagination. That sounds fucking cool.
Is there more to entertainment than 500-channel TV and zillion-dollar movies? Turning the sound up and your mind off? Is there still a place where fun involves thinking, imagining, doing? Some of us think so, and we find it in a game. Magic the Gathering. All you need to play is a brain, a deck, and a friend.
Everyone knows the iconic boys from South Park. You know, Peter Griffin and Kanye West. However, there is an episode that piqued my interest lately. Cock Magic. And this is an episode about Magic the Gathering, which honestly on my channel is perfect for this subject. And also I love South Park and I lived on a chicken farm, so it was cool to hear all like the chicken breeds and stuff, so that was fun. And I honestly was like, hey, let's revisit this and I want to check this out a little bit. So we got to work on doing this and I had a question at the end of the video. What would the boys play in Magic the Gathering's Commander format? And I think that they might have skipped over this because it's probably not long enough for a video, or maybe it's not even freaking that interesting, which is fine. But I am out to answer this age-old question. Who do each of the boys play in Magic the Gathering? Okay, so all of this is like purely speculation. I want to talk about, like, for one, what the boys brought up individually, which each of the boys brought up individually, what cards I mean by that, their knowledge on each of the cards, the other games that come with South Park, like Phone Destroyer, Snow Day, and all the other sort of Switch and other releases that I'll talk about later. And we will take those classes and kind of compare them with the color wheel. So I would like to do that now. We are going to check out what the color wheel says. And if you guys don't know what the color wheel is, I'll put it up over here as I'm talking about it. The color wheel basically describes what the manas do in Magic and like what properties and like, you know, the ethics of each color. Like white is mortality and order and laws of God and spirit, laws of man. And blue is like logic, technology, intellect. Does that mean it's good? No, it doesn't mean it's good. Obviously in Magic, none of the colors are good. Black is parasitism, and like basically being selfish, and death, basically. Red is impulse, chaos, kind of like very spastic, you know, like kind of tweaks out a little bit. And then green, last but not least, green is for instinct and independence. This is abundant in like ramp decks and stuff. So now we kind of get an idea of the color wheel. So that's kind of what we wanted to look at first before we briefly align that with each character's ethics. And first, I want to start with Stan.
What's that? He's playing an enchantment. This late? He's just stacked his shapeshifter with an elven blade!
So Stan brings up a card called Psychogenic Probe, and what decks usually run this on Edhrecc, which is usually the best place to find like synergies and stuff for Magic the Gathering cards, and that's River Song, Mind Skinner, and God of Destiny. And in my opinion, the last one matches up with Stan the most because he's very aggro in the games, and he's very aggro in the show as well. Like in the Stick of Truth, he's like a brawler class to like Kyle, so he's like kind of a knight class. That's what you said, right?
That's right, he is a knight class.
Yeah, so he's kind of like a knight class in that. So like think of like equipments and stuff like that, or like just attacking people, just being aggro. Which is a big part of the playstyle of these kind of characters. In Phone Destroyer, he takes a lot of many different forms, such as Stan of Many Moons, Program Stan, Poseidon Stan, and my personal favorite, Stan the Great. And all these cards point to a combat strategy or like a brawler class strategy, which is really cool. That game is hard as shit, by the way. I just want to bring that up first and foremost. That game is hard as crap. I thought I was going to be pretty good because I play a lot of Magic. The game is way hard, like no kidding. Like even the NPCs are hard as crap. But Stan is the one we know the least out of. So let's like let's move on to professional opinion of a Magic the Gathering player about this guy. So he could play God of Destiny. I love Stan, so I think God of Destiny could be cool for him. But I think this man, if he's gonna play a god, he's gonna play Mogus of Slaughter, or I think he's gonna play Thar the Unbowed or Torbrand, which Thane of Redfell. Which A reason I think this is I think Stan is very judicial. If he sees things are like not fair, for example, the jewelry episode, he just calls that guy and tells him to commit not alive anymore, which is, I mean, kind of awesome for him to get like justice on him, but not cool. Don't do that. Oh yes, and another thing is Stan's animal rights activism, which he was very aggressive in the episode Whale Whores. And now Whale Whores is actually really good, an outline for Stan's character, because for one, he's brutal in there. People in there are very like, kind of like being babies in the episode, and he just kind of goes in and kills a guy, I'm pretty sure. So I love that about Stan. He's very aggro. So that definitely makes me think of an attacking brawler style for Stan. So those are my opinions, and I would like to move on to Stan's best friend and confidant, Kyle.
Dealing 1 damage to McNuggets.
Come on, McNuggets, fight! You can do it, McNuggets!
That's it! Quiet, please.
Double or nothing on the next one.
Wait. McNuggets has cast Punishing Fire, absorbing the Geist Flame and dealing 2 damage to the
We
opponent.
have Kyle. So Kyle mentions Crackling Doom, Pearl Lake Ancient, and Abzan Battle Priest. Now, Abzan Battle Priest, I think, is our biggest green light here because he seems like he's going to play white. I'm going to be real honest as a first look on Kyle, but we will get into that. He mentions a card that is very popular in Slumbering Isle, and Absent Battle Priest just really lines up with everything that I think he believes in. I also believe that this card shows up a lot in Shali and Holler, which is an elf and a angel tribal deck, which is really interesting for his classes in Bone Destroyer and a couple of other games. The Boundless Dawn and Hamza, which seems very counter and life hunger. But let's get into Kyle's character in the show. Kyle shows up a lot as a healer. Unlike Stan, who wants to do good but ends up like ruining his life with good intentions, basically. So like he does this a lot. In my opinion, he's very prideful of a character. Some examples is including like Butters calling Kyle out and going native.
Butters, people can't just go around beating up people who have diabetes. Now, whatever your problem is, you just think you know everything, don't you, Kyle? Every little thing, you gotta shoot your mouth off like you're the freaking expert.
Which is a really good episode if you haven't seen it. But he calls him out for being just like very prideful and like just kind of a jerk. In the episode Super Hard PC-ness, also he was trying to clean up Terrence and Phillips' act, and though it was over Cartman and his girlfriend and his jealousy, and he was just kind of pretending to do something good, but in reality he was just kind of doing selfish crap because he was mad and jealous, and he ended up blowing up Canada in the end of that. Even his own brother isn't out of range for some of this behavior. The beginning of #rehash, when Kyle wanted to play with Ike and he preferred to watch some streamers, Kyle was kind of like, oh yeah, Ike's the problem. Ike's a jerk. Why is Ike doing this? But it's like, dude, this is what he wants to do. And it's like very like he's trying to point out Ike's flaws when it's like, dude, maybe he doesn't want to hang out with you because you're a jerk or something, which is kind of like, oh, that's kind of brotherly, honestly. But like it comes to a conclusion that they're brain rotted when it's like, no, dude, they're just doing what they want to do. They just don't want to do what you want to do. Moving on to the section of the other games that he's in, he is saying of being an elf in Stick of Truth. I think it's Kyle of Droll Elves. Oh yes, he is a king of the elves even, I'm pretty sure. Definitely elf leaning ideologies, as you could tell from all the episodes he's in. Honestly, in Fractured But Whole, he's a healer class, as well, and he's in the card games as Kyle of Droll Elves, the Human Kite, and Hunter Kyle, which are healer and rally based, which are like buffing your team and healing them, which honestly that's what elves do. Elf tribal is literally healing and buffing other elves and staying in the game longer until you elf ball and kill your opponent. So that's something that I want to point out, and for these reasons he's lowest likely to play Hamza. However, I actually believe that he's playing Helioid, but I most likely think that he's playing Moon Dancer. And I think that he's playing Moon Dancer because it's an elf cleric, which he usually plays elf cleric classes in some of the games, and clerics are very health heavy, and it's very elf tribal, and elves in Magic the Gathering and in other media are acting like they're doing good for everyone, but really they're just kind of jerks. So I feel like this fits in with Kyle's character. Honestly, just I believe green-white also matches up with this, like being nice, wanting to help, even if you can be a little bit of a jerk sometimes. Now, I want to get into a character that I think is no good and is only in pursuit of personal gain, and I think is one of the more interesting characters to talk about, yet not the most interesting. That will be talked about at the end. But I want to go to Kyle's enemy, Cartman.
That you're only doing this because you want to be on TV? Then I'll consider it. Admit you just want to be on TV. Kenny, I deserve to be on TV.
Captain! Captain, the Japanese have been spotted near...
Now, Cartman mentioned polymorph and polymorphic jest. Now, these are usually in frog-themed and totally, like, you know, obviously the playstyle, but they're more spellslinger control decks. But I believe that Cartman is more lines up with spastic behavior, like Niv Mizzet, where he wants to kill you in one hit, or something like Master Polymorphist, where he just kind of wants to get value out of crap and basically cheat. So I feel like Cartman's a big cheater in a lot of shit that he's in, so that's a big thing. I feel like the Freezing Flame is another way he would kind of play, just because it kind of fits the spastic playing style. And I feel like Cartman, if he's gonna play a Spellslinger deck, he's gonna probably play a giant one, just because he's probably just gonna want to hit his opponents as well. Now let's go on to Cartman's character. Due to Cartman's character in episodes such as the Stick of Truth trilogy, where he likes being a wizard and his personal character is pure greed, and in these episodes such as the iPad episode.
Of course.
So
it's got human Sentai pad.
So in episodes like in the episode Human Sentai Pad, he really shows his materialistic self. So he can also be seen called Kenny Poor like millions of times. Like anytime he can, he's gonna call Kenny Poor. So that's very materialistic of him. So that's why I think he might be playing something like Niv Mizzet, because it's very expensive and materialistic. However, something that Cartman leans into in games and episodes is he loves being the heel. That's something that's just like normal for him, which is really fun, and he's damn good at it. In Phone Destroyer, he is his most powerful cards are Sheriff Cartman, Osimo, and Zen Cartman, which all of these are tanks. So he definitely enjoys his large authoritarian characters. He also rarely has any empathy, like in the Coon and Friends episodes, where seems like he's borderline playing something banned almost. Like, because obviously he had Cthulhu in that episode, which I feel like is not fair to the other boys who barely don't have any powers. So something like that, I feel like he is pushing the area of being banned territory. Because I think Cartman is greedy and a selfish player, I think he plays one of these three commanders, okay? I think he plays the Dragon, which many believe this is the strongest commander for dragons. I kind of agree, but I'm not too sure. Dragons are really powerful, I think. But I think Cartman would definitely agree that this is the most powerful dragon. So he'd be definitely using this bad bitch right here. I also believe that he is playing Sauron, the strongest wizard, because he is, for one, very expensive to play. So he also acts like Sauron in a lot of whenever they're playing like games where they're pretending to be wizards and stuff. So that's pretty interesting. And for my final guess at what Cartman would play, I think he's playing Eldrazi's. I think Eldrazi's are really strong. They have like Annihilator, and even though they're colorless, I think that he wants to play some big ass creatures that can't be killed, and that he just wants to like plow through his opponents. I don't think he's playing very fairly, and for this reason, I think he's playing Eldrazi's. Very cool. So those are the three commanders that I think Cartman might be playing. Now, last but not least, and finally, for the best player of the four boys of the main cast, and I believe has most of the information of this episode.
Hey, you guys want to go to the toy store after school and get some Spaceman Greg cards?
No, I think I'm through with fads for a while.
Me too. I'm choosing my own toys from now on, because... What the... Gross!
So this one was kind of difficult because so many colors match up with Kenny. For Kenny, it was really hard to like lay down. Let's talk about the cards that he played. He played Charging Rhinos, Polymorph, Polymorphic Jest, Elvish Mystic, Asvan Battle Priest, Cackling Dune, Undead Minotaur, Terra Stomper, Shapeshifter, Life's Legacy, and Psychogenic Probe. What the hell does that fit into? That is a ton of decks. So let's see what Charging Rhinos fits into, because that is one of the cards that the characters didn't mention. Charging Rhinos is usually known for green pump and is usually played alongside of Elvish Mystic, Terra Stomper, and Abzan Battle Priest. But also people used to use Shapeshifter as a shifting card so that they can also have an extra drop or whatever. Commanders like Parry the Pulverizer and Goreclaw are really close commanders that use all these cards similarly and together. You also have control cards that show in this deck, like Polymorph and Life Legacy. However, I feel like Kenny's early play of Undead Minotaur and Cackling Doom show up in Egger and Mogus and Ishin decks. Understanding Kenny is kind of tough. It seems like he's like a Mardu player almost, which makes kind of sense because, you know, he regenerates himself quite often, as seen with like the rats or the fact that he dies in every single episode. But also, it's kind of explained in the Mysterion episode, and I do love the early seasons where the rats would just tear him apart. That was awesome. However, I think Kenny kind of lines up with White, but can afford to go aggro, which also reads specifically in the Phone Destroyer, which is seen in Mysterion, Inuit Kenny, Princess Kenny, which all do upon death, alongside games being the same way. Something else that we should note is that a lot of Kenny's interactions you could see in his love for his friends and his selflessness in his character, which is so sweet. And we see this a lot with his sister, especially. That's why I believe Kenny plays one of these 3 commanders. Number 1, Maronar. I think he plays Maronar because of rats and sack triggers getting a ton of value from dying, so that's really cool. And even though Kenny is playing more beatdown, I believe this is a fun option to consider he might be playing. I also believe that he could be playing Jonah the Unifier. Now, Jonah the Unifier is a really good card that is basically good around playing other legendary creatures, which I think, because they're the main cast and all of his friends seem to be very powerful in the games and stuff, and he tries to bring them together, and it's really sweet. I think he could play that. And last but not least, I believe Kenny is playing Modrotha the Gravetide, which is an evil deck, but I think Kenny is playing something that is really evil in this. And I think that he is really good, and I think Modrova fits the profile of being really good, broken, and very fun for Kenny, which is just a graveyard deck that it gets good things over time and beating your opponents down. So I think that was about what I think the boys would play in Magic the Gathering. Let me know in the comments below what you think they would play. Also, I think around this time, the new episodes should be dropping for the new season that's coming out, which is really exciting. Let me know what you're most excited for. I think I'm most excited for, I'm going to be honest, Butter's working at the airport might be the funniest thing. I might be most excited over that. What are you most excited for?
Chicken Kyle.
Chicken?
I want to know what's going on there.
She wants to know what's going on with Chicken Kyle.
I'm guessing it's bird flu related.
Probably bird flu related.
I want to see.
Oh, cock magic bird flu. Oh!